Level 1, the recruit. You are 16 years old, and a stranger in a polo shirt is standing on your family's front lawn, holding a clipboard with your name already printed at the top. He is the third one this month. You started at a public high school with a JV team that lost every game your freshman year, and now there are men flying in from 3 time zones to watch you run a 40-yard dash on a patchy practice field behind the gym. You run it in 4.52 seconds, hand-timed, which nobody trusts as much as the electronic number you'll get later, but it is enough. Recruiting sites rank you the 9th best safety in the country, a number attached to your name before you've started a single varsity playoff game. Your mother keeps every letter in a shoebox that fills up faster than she expected. National Signing Day happens in your school gymnasium. Cameras from 2 local stations, a table with 5 hats lined up in a row, and you put one on live while 300 classmates who barely knew your name last year cheer like they've always known you. Your older cousin, who tore his ACL twice in junior college and now drives a delivery route 6 days a week, tells you privately in the driveway that talent gets you the hats and the cameras, but it's the part nobody photographs. The tape room, the extra sprints after practice, that decides whether any of this becomes real. You go home that night and your father, who works nights at a distribution warehouse, asks you if you understand what you just signed. You say yes. You don't. Not really. Nobody your age does. Level 2, the freshman. You report for 2-a-day practices in August heat that reaches 104 degrees on the turf. Twice daily sessions in full pads designed specifically to find out who quits. 6 freshmen do, packing their dorm rooms within the first 10 days. You survive it, but survival earns you a redshirt year, which means you practice with the team, take every hit in scout team drills, and are not allowed to play in a single real game, so the coaching staff can bank an extra season of eligibility on you later. You memorize a playbook that runs 340 pages, defensive fronts and coverage checks and audibles that have to become instinct before a snap clock hits 0. You get lit up by a 5th-year senior in a live drill so hard your ears ring for a full quarter of practice, and the position coach doesn't ask if you're okay, he just runs the play again. Your position coach, a man who played 6 seasons in the league himself before a neck injury ended it, tells the freshman group during that same week that the players who survive a redshirt year aren't the most talented ones in the room. They're the ones who can watch every single snap from the sideline without letting the frustration curdle into something worse. You call your mother that night and tell her everything is fine. You've already learned that fine is the word players use, so nobody asks a second question. Level 3, the starter. You win the starting safety job in your 2nd year, and the state's new name, image, and likeness rules mean a local car dealership pays you $4,000 to post twice about their weekend sale, more cash than you've ever held in your life for 2 sentences and a photo. The team makes a bowl game in Orlando, and the 7 days leading up to it feel more like a corporate retreat than football, sponsor dinners, matching gift bags, a stadium that seats 65,000 for a game that means nothing in the standings but means everything to the athletic department's budget. You record 11 tackles and an interception in that game, a stat line a scout writes down in a notebook you will never see. Your name starts appearing on early draft boards, a projected 3rd-round grade that means nothing legally and everything psychologically. You also carry an 18-credit course load that semester because the athletic department needs your graduation rate to stay above a number, the conference tracks publicly, studying game film at midnight and writing essays at 5 in the morning before weight room sessions. You declare for the draft after your junior year, 1 year of eligibility left on the table, because every year you wait is a year your knees don't have a warranty on. Level 4, the draft prospect. The NFL Scouting Combine puts you in Indianapolis in front of scouts from all 32 teams, and for 4 days your body is data. They measure your hand size in inches, your wingspan, your body fat percentage with calipers pinched at 4 different points. You bench press 225 pounds 19 times in Lucas Oil Stadium, while men in team polos click stopwatches. You run the 40 again, this time on a track surface with electronic timing and cameras from 6 angles, and you shave your hand-timed number down to 4.47. Teams fly you out for private visits where a general manager asks you, without warning, to describe the worst thing you've ever done. You tell the true story instead of a rehearsed one, and you don't know until months later that this specific answer is the reason one franchise moves you up their board. Draft night, you sit in your parents' living room instead of the green room because your invitation came late and your agent told you it barely matters where you watch from. Your pro day at your university runs the same drills a second time in front of local scouts who couldn't make the combine trip. Your 40 time this time, measured by a device strapped directly to your body instead of a stopwatch on the sideline. Draft night unfolds over 3 rounds and 11 excruciating hours of television you weren't invited onto. Phone calls that come from area codes you don't recognize before disappearing again. Your name gets called in the second round. Pick 47. You hug your mother so hard she has to tell you to loosen your grip. Level 5, the rookie. Training camp starts with a playbook install that assumes you already know the terminology from college, which you don't. Not their version of it. You are one of 90 players competing for 53 roster spots, and every single day someone gets a tap on the shoulder from a staffer everyone calls the Turk. 3 words that end a career before it starts. Bring your playbook. Your roommate that summer is a 6th round receiver named Cole, a kid from a town smaller than the one you grew up in who runs every route in practice like it's the Super Bowl because he knows his roster spot is nowhere near as safe as yours. On final cutdown day, the roster goes from 90 to 53 in a single morning, and the Turk knocks on Cole's door 2 hours before yours would have been called if you hadn't made it. He packs his bag in 11 minutes. You help him carry it to his car in the parking lot, and neither of you says much because there isn't really anything to say to a person whose entire life plan just ended before lunch. You make the 53. You call your mother from the parking lot before you even text your agent because some news needs to be said out loud to someone who remembers the shoebox full of letters. Your special teams role means you spend Sundays sprinting downfield at close to full speed to tackle a returner, absorbing a collision most fans never notice unless you miss the tackle entirely. And the film session the following Tuesday breaks down that half-second impact from 4 different camera angles. Level 6, the starter. By your second season, you crack the starting defense, and the speed of the professional game still occasionally outruns your eyes, even after a full year of film study. You record your first career interception on a Sunday night broadcast watched by 9 million people, and the ball ends up in a display case in your childhood bedroom within the week. Your rookie contract, 4 years, is not fully guaranteed the way an NBA deal would be, a detail nobody explained clearly enough when you signed it, meaning the team can release you at almost any point and owe you a fraction of what the number on paper promised. You learn to read your own contract the way you once read a defensive coverage, looking for where the guarantees actually stop. You sign your first real extension after a strong 3rd season, a number with 6 figures in the signing bonus alone, structured across void years and roster bonuses that your financial advisor spends 90 minutes explaining before you sign anything. You wire your father enough to retire from the night shift 11 years earlier than he planned, and he calls you back within the hour insisting he'll just find something part-time instead, because 30 years of a schedule doesn't disappear just because the money finally allows it to. Level 7, the Pro Bowl. You make your first Pro Bowl at 25. A stat line good enough that broadcasters start using your name as a verb for a specific kind of hit. Endorsement offers arrive that have nothing to do with football directly, a regional bank, a truck dealership, a protein supplement company that sends more free product than you could eat in a decade. You now have an agent, a financial advisor, a personal chef, and a publicist who reviews your social media captions before you post them. A small army whose paychecks depend on your knees continuing to work correctly. You take a helmet-to-helmet hit in October that puts you into the concussion protocol, a 5-stage return process with an independent neurologist who has final say over your own coaching staff, regardless of how badly the team needs you that Sunday. You sit out 11 days doing baseline cognitive tests in a dim room, matching symbols on a tablet screen, and reciting lists of words backward, instead of playing the games you've built your entire adult life around. Your wife tracks the days on a kitchen calendar without telling you she's doing it. Level 8, the franchise player. You are voted defensive captain by a locker room vote that still means something even in a league obsessed with analytics, which means every fine, every missed meeting, every young player's personal crisis now eventually reaches your locker before it reaches the head coach's office. A rookie linebacker gets pulled over with an expired license 2 states away from home at 2 a.m., and it's your number he calls first, not the team's. Your body keeps a running tab now, a torn labrum you play through for 6 weeks because sitting means someone else takes your job, a high ankle sprain that never fully feels like your own ankle again. You tear your ACL in week 14 on a non-contact cut, the kind of injury that happens on a play so ordinary the broadcast doesn't even show a replay. Your knee simply buckling on a routine change of direction with no defender within 5 yards of you. The recovery timeline your surgeon gives you is 9 to 12 months, a number that sounds reasonable until you realize it erases an entire season of your career at 29, an age where teams already start quietly wondering, in meetings you're never invited to, whether you're on the decline side of your prime rather than the peak of it. Level 9, the veteran. You come back from the ACL a half step slower, a difference invisible to fans, but immediately obvious to the coaching staff watching film frame by frame. Your contract that year is non-guaranteed for injury after June 1st, a clause you understood in theory the day you signed it, and now understand fully in your bank account. The team releases you in a 2-minute meeting in a small conference room you've walked past 1,000 times. The general manager reading from a printed page, ending a 9-year relationship with the only professional home you've ever had in less time than a single defensive series. You sign a 1-year deal with your third team at a fraction of your peak salary, a backup role, special teams again, the same job you had as a rookie now performed with a body that takes 2 extra days to recover from every practice. You watch a 22-year-old rookie safety, drafted specifically to replace the version of you that no longer exists, run the same route recognition drills you ran 9 years earlier with the same nervous energy you no longer remember having. You help him with his footwork anyway after practice, unpaid, unofficial. Because somebody helped you once in a parking lot you still think about, even though you both understand exactly what his development on this roster is supposed to cost you by December. Level 10, the retired player. You retire at 34 after failing a physical that quietly tells you what you already suspected, that your body has filed as much paperwork as it's willing to file. There is a small press conference, a handful of local reporters, no tribute video, because your name was never quite big enough for the league to build one. You donate your brain to a research program studying trauma in former players, a decision that takes you 11 months to actually sign the paperwork for, because reading the consent form's description of what they might eventually find in it feels like its own kind of injury, one no surgeon can set a recovery timeline for. You are not one of the players who went broke. The non-guaranteed contracts that once terrified you also taught you, year after year, to save every dollar like the check might be your last, and more often than the league likes to admit publicly, it usually was. You bought a modest house instead of the mansion your rookie year self wanted, and 11 years later that decision is the only reason retirement doesn't feel like falling. Your daughter finds your old game ball in a closet and asks what it was like, and you tell her the true answer instead of the easy one, that it took more from your body than almost anything is worth, and that you would still sign the same shoebox full of letters again tomorrow morning without hesitation, and that both of those sentences are true at the exact same time.